Thank you. That's all they ever give me is a floor. So, as I said, I think everybody who has a turntable should know how to do this. Because at some point you're gonna break a cartridge. I think everybody who has a turntable should know how to do this, because at some point you're gonna break a cartridge, and then you're gonna be stuck waiting until you can get it to your dealer or have a friend come over and do it. You should be able to do it yourself. And believe me, if I can do this, anybody can do this. So what I tell people is, if you're uncomfortable because you don't want to break something expensive, get a $20 Grado or a very inexpensive Audio-Technica and experiment with that. That way, if you break it, nothing serious is going to happen. Ready to go. And as I do. And you want to do this in an open space so that if a screw falls on the ground, it doesn't roll under a radiator or something and you lose it and you don't have a screw. So have good lighting, be in a nice open space, have a sturdy stand, make sure that whatever it's on is level. So get a bubble level, which I just had, here it is, and put it on the platter and adjust as necessary to make sure that the platter is level before you start. So in my case, this is not exactly level, but I'm not going to take the time to level it because certain things I'm just not going to spend time on. Take it to the store and let them do it. That's what my wife, she always insults me with stuff like that. Don't you fix the washing machine. Call in a professional. I can fix the washing machine. You'll break it. And then I fix it, and she goes, oh, that was very good, but the next thing has to be fixed. Same thing. That's what it is. That's how it works. All right, so.
What about a head lamp? Yeah, I like it.
Know how to do this? It takes you like 2 minutes to read it, and then an hour later you've hardly gotten any place and you think something's wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. It's the way this is. This is just a time-consuming and frustrating thing. Of course, in this circumstance, I want to get this done as quickly as possible because we only have about an hour, and I want to get all of this done for you. So.
A little neater than what I did here, but take your time to do that. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is try to find a counterweight. So with an arm like this, where it doesn't have a gauge on it and you're doing it all by yourself, and if you're not experienced at doing this, you got to be really careful because if you apply too much weight, you could really destroy your stylus. So the first thing to do is to remove the stylus guard, of course.
Abuse happens to the entry level because we don't know what we're doing yet. That's why it's made to be like this. So that way, when one of these, happens, you can call up Josh Bazaar over there, get a replacement, and you're good to go. Now, it does actually, believe it or not, this is not an uncommon thing. I've had this happen at a customer's house. I couldn't find the darn thing. But of course, once I realized, it's smart. That's a good thing. So in a way, guys, we're accidentally showcasing how cool it can be. So research your cartridges because you can make it nice and easy to replace.
Which I did because I thought this was going to slide off, which it's supposed to, but it slid off with the stylus too. Okay, we're back in business. And I'm only going to do this part of the way because this takes a long time to get right. And I'm going to make believe I'm going to get it right. There was a time when I would say skating was caused just by friction in the groove and the offset angle. So when there's friction in the groove and it's restricting the movement of the stylus, it creates a force. And that force is located directly behind the stylus. So it's going back behind the stylus. And what's behind the stylus? Not the pivot point, because the pivot point is offset, because of the offset angle on the head show. So, and that causes a force that makes the arm move into the center. But that's not what causes it. It's caused by something else. And I don't even want to get into what causes it, but it's based upon having the overhang and the offset angle. But having the overhang and the offset angle give you less distortion. So I still believe that using an arm that has an offset angle and sets the length with the overhang is the best way to do it. There are tables here at the show, and some tables in Japan are big on this now, where there's no offset angle, and they don't care about overhang. They just want to have, but this one trip I forgot, I put it in my hand carry luggage, and I got through the first security, and then there was another security check at the gate, and my luggage went through, and the woman pulled it out. I was in Amsterdam, and she pulled it out. She says, "What is this?" And I'm thinking, how am I possibly explain what this is to this woman? But I was in Amsterdam, and said, "This is for skating." And she goes, "Oh, skating? Okay, good." That's a true story. All right, now we also here do not have a finger lift, which you need to use this particular gauge. So it's offset from the top of the cutter head. So it's describing an arc. You want to try to duplicate that arc to get the least intermodulation distortion. And they've done all the research, shown how much distortion is produced by different stylus rake angles, how far off it can be. And most of these places that do this cutting, it was between 91 and 94 degrees. It can't be below that because it's got to suck out the piece of lacquer that's just been cut. The piece of lacquer that's just been cut is going to be a very volatile thread. It's got to be sucked out. So it's got to be over 90 degrees so it can be sucked out. So they measured between 91 and 94 degrees, and they said 92 is a good compromise and it'll sound great. If you want to do it for every record you own, sit there. Once you've got it at 92, you can sit there and if you can dial it. I'm in this to play records. I'm not in this to tweak. Believe it or not, I'm not in this to play with my turntable. Once I get it set up, I leave it at about 92 to 93 degrees. Some people say 93 because there's going to be a little bit of friction in the groove and it's going to cut back about 1 degree to 92. Anywhere around there is going to be fine.
That no matter how you move the arm up or down, it's spherical, not going to make a difference. This is a elliptical stylus. You can see the contact patch is a little more available vertically, and it's very narrow. This is now a micro ridge, and this is a Shibata. Shibata is actually the most extreme. And if this is off, the stylus is going to be bouncing around all the vertical modulations. It's never going to sound right. So choose your stylus profile of your cartridge carefully. If you don't have all these tools, if you don't have a microscope, you don't have the ability to adjust it, get a less severe stylus profile until you can get the tools to get it right, because it'll sound good. You know, spherical stylus will sound good. Some people swear by like a Denon 103R, where no matter how you set it up, you can't make a mistake in any of these parameters because it's a round stylus. It's not going to make a difference. And they like that. It sounds good, and it will sound good, but you'll be missing half the information in the record. And the more severe the stylus profile that you get, and the more you're able to set it up correctly, the more information you'll get out. So like if you get an ortophon with a replicant stylus. Which?
The article with the stylus, different stylus.
Oh, it should be.
Is that John Rich?
The John Rich article, yeah. It should be on Analog Planet. I hate to send you to my own website, but it's there someplace. Yeah, it's download. And then go back to my website, click through a bunch of articles, and make me feel better.
Okay, thanks again for the knowledge. Appreciate it.
Is there anything that you can do when you're setting up something like a set and forget Riga, where you really don't have that many options? It's like, what do you look for?
Well, if you have a reader, there is not much you can do, except send the cartridge back to JR or have him do the analysis, or he will sell you a set of shims where you can just listen to it. Put a shim on where it goes back 2 degrees and listen. Set a shim where it goes back 3 degrees. Just listen to the various ways of doing it, and pick the one that sounds best.
Have you found your cartridges to be pretty in the ballpark?
You know what? I'm learning. I can only look at stylus rake and I can't do.
我参加了 Michael Fremer's World Famous Turntable Setup Seminar。Michael Fremer 是网站 TrackingAngle 的主编，音响杂志 TAS The Absolute Sound 的自由撰稿人。这是他的现场课程，期间是妙语连珠，甚至还有状况频发。VPI 的VPI 唱盘的公司的社长 Matt Weisfeld 偷偷的将转盘马达当中的保险丝拿走了，结果转盘没办法正常工作，结果 Michael 无法完成演示。那么 Michael 到底有没有现场发飙呢？
So interesting.
This is the record that I put, this jazz record I put out, and it's really excellent. The music director has copies of it. It's really good. This is Rufus Reed, a very famous older bass player, a wonderful bass player. This is Kalen Cardell, who's 22 years old, and he is absolutely spectacular. And these two guys played together for the first time when this was recorded. I wasn't there to put it out on record. I was there just to listen to these guys play. Halfway through, I said to my friend, "This is too good. It's too bad it wasn't recorded, but it was being recorded." So we worked on getting it mixed the way we wanted it, and then we had it finished. I sent it to Bob Ludwig, the famous Bob Ludwig, who I sent it to him as a gift. Bob, I want you to have this music. He said, "I want to master this for you because everyone's going to know this kid in a couple of years, so I'll master this for you." And he's expensive, but it was, for Bob, it's worth it to have his name on it. And it came out just that much better. And I'm really proud of this record. And I think this is going to be a collectible record because this kid's going to go places. And when you hear this, it's fantastic. They never played together. They sat down and what you hear on this record is what they. And people say, "Oh, well, jazz musicians, that's what they do." Okay, yeah, they do that, but they do it better and worse depending on how good they are. These guys, they were so good. They were so good that they did it again at a club in New York to promote the record, and like Dizzy's in New York. They played again, and we filled the house up. It was a fantastic event. Any other questions?
Quick thing, on the zenith misalignment, could that be measured with an oscilloscope and a test record? So I think there'd be a phase difference if you had a
Of the
zenith misalignment.
it's partly phased, and it's partly, as JR has proven, it's partly what happens to the stylus when it's not centered right. It's going to be moving vertically where it shouldn't be moving vertically.
Is that measured with an oscilloscope or is that too subtle?
You'd have to ask him. He's here, but he's shown me that if it's not correct, it's going to be lifting up and creating a vertical modulation where there really wasn't one on the record. That's the trick. If it's right, it's going to be doing this where it's supposed to be
So if
doing
you
this.
had a test group with no vertical modulation and you see it, you see a copy.
You don't want a vertical modulation where there isn't one in the record, right? And you don't want, and you're getting one. And the phase thing is true too. The phase is. Yes. Ask him.
我到 AXPONA 现场的重要任务包括取回2年前拜访友人在美国 Historic Image 网站上邮购的喜剧名人演员、音响评论员 Michael Fremer 先生在80年代的一张肖像照片。第二个，聆听一场 Michael Fremer 的 Live 现场版的黑胶调教教程。第三个就是找到 Michael Fremer 本人在肖像照片上亲笔签名，还要像粉丝见偶像一样合影。第四个就是送赠一件我们中国立体声的广告衫给 Michael Fremer。上面的这些任务全部完成，开心。他还偷偷告诉我为什么会离开 Stereophile 而加入 TAS 的故事。
But in the end, I know everything happens for a reason, to make us stronger.